Before we start this PFR, I want to clarify a couple of things. The Penguins were told by the NHL last night, the night before tonight, that they were allowed to have 15% capacity fans in attendance. They go ahead with that plan. Works out for both the fans and the players. Sidney Crosby and Todd Reardon, for that matter, do not have COVID, at least from what I know. They have just been exposed. They're on the COVID protocol list. Everything is fine. The Penguins, while I may hate the way that they play on the ice sometimes, off the ice, they are a world-class organization, and they have been following these protocols as well as everyone else has in the entire league. This is the first case that the Penguins have had ever. And that goes back to last year, too, as well. Penguins, I can't do it with the mask. Penguins win 5-2 to the Philadelphia Flyers tonight. I'm going to be completely honest here. After that Islanders game this weekend where the Penguins tried to come back and do a little thing that they do, I thought the Penguins were going to get smoked in this series against Philly. I know it's only one game in, but from what I saw on the ice tonight, I thought the team played great. Now, before we get into lines, I want to just come out and say that obviously the board looks a little bit different from my past PFRs, and there's a reason for that. These past couple of weeks I've been doing Penguins fan reactions, more in the aspect that I'm doing it as Penguins fan recaps. You watch the game, most of you watch the game, and there's thousands of other sources that you could go to have the game recap to you. That's not really what I want to do here. I want to give a reaction to it, who I thought played well, who I thought didn't play well, what I think the Penguins need to do, whether that be, trading, line combinations. I'm a huge stickler for line combinations. So as you'll see, I have a little exercise I want to go over towards the end of the PFR. But that's just something I want to clarify before we get to lines. Now, there were a lot of lineup changes tonight. Sidney Crosby not being in the lineup, made there be a lot of switches. Jared McCann was back to center. Let's go over them. So last year, the Guentzel, Malkin, Rust line was one of the strongest lines for the Penguins for the majority of the season when they were all healthy. And that is our first line for tonight. And that was probably the best line we had tonight. And, it was good to see those guys continue to have the chemistry that they had from last year. However, I don't know who I want to put Guentzel with. I'm obviously not the coach, but still, I would prefer him obviously to be with Crosby. But from the way that, Rust, Guentzel, and Malkin play together, I would rather them stay together, but also you can't have two Jay Guentzels. Josh Currie, Mark Friedman, and Anthony Angello are all in the lineup. Anthony Angello making his second straight start for the Penguins. Not start, but appearance for the Penguins. Mark Friedman just claimed off waivers last week from the Philadelphia Flyers. Gets his revenge debut tonight for the Flyers, and he gets an assist in it later on. Also, Jarry, he's been great. There's nothing much you can say about Jarry that hasn't been said before. He has been, ever since these Marc-Andre Fleury trade rumors were circling around because, DeSmith was starting most of the games. That's gone away. Jarry looks great. He had a great game tonight, and the Penguins got a win for him. It's really, you got to work with what you got here. Despite the win tonight, I still don't think the Penguins are deep enough. And we'll get to that later when I, go over some potential trade targets for the Penguins. Also, the penalty kill for the Penguins sucks this year so far. Didn't in this game, didn't give up a goal. There were a lot of improvements, different line combinations. Brian Rust wasn't even out on the penalty kill tonight. Penalty kill heading into this game was 72.1%, which is 29th in the league. And, improvements need to be made there. And it was a good start here tonight. Now, the Penguins did not start off this game well. I thought the Penguins played bad in the first period. No goals were scored in the first period. The Penguins start off the game by taking 2 penalties, and I thought the Flyers, for the most part, controlled play through the first period. However, going into the second, the Penguins just had a great period, but that wasn't before Joel Farabee got a goal that Teddy Blueger should have not let happen. Teddy Blueger with a blind pass in the neutral zone, and I hate to say it because we love Teddy Blueger. Teddy Blueger's not been looking good these past couple of games. He hasn't been winning faceoffs, especially on the penalty kill. He hasn't been defending well. He's been making foolish mistakes in the neutral zone, and he makes one tonight, and Joel Farabee scores. Also, and Penguins fan here, I hate the Flyers, but Joel Farabee's good, man. And I can actually say that with confidence now and compliment him because the guy that drafted him is our general manager. So hopefully we can get a Joel Farabee within the next couple of years here. Now, the Penguins respond to this Joel Farabee goal. And they don't just respond, they fucking respond. 3 goals within just over 6 minutes. Kasperi Kapanen with 2 of them. This game changes because Kasperi Kapanen puts his stick out. That's it. If Kasperi Kapanen does not pick off that pass from the defenders that Philly had up at the point and go in and score his first goal of the game, the Penguins probably wouldn't have won this game. The momentum change that goal had is just, it's unspeakable, the amount of just pure momentum change that came from that goal. I cannot express to you just how just that game went all Flyers to just all Penguins in the second half. Kasperi Kapanen started it. It was a great goal too. Picks off the pass at the point, goes all the way in on a breakaway, fakes the slap shot, and then just passes it in between Carter Hart's legs. Carter Hart is not a good goaltender, by the way. You'll never win a Stanley Cup. Kapanen gets another one. The Penguins get a power play, great passing play, and Kapanen finishes this one off as well. I was very disappointed, though, that Kapanen wasn't out there for the empty net. I really wanted him to get a hat trick. He's never had a hat trick in his career. I think it was like his 5th career 2-goal game. Would have been nice to see him get one, but whatever. 2 goals will definitely take it. And then right after that again, Letang just shoots the puck towards the net, and Brian Rust gets the rebound. It's almost crazy, when you shoot the puck, good things happen. And the Penguins are up in this one 3-1 heading into the second intermission. Now, things don't start well in the third period for the Penguins, though, as Joel Farabee scores again. Tristan Jarry is a very good goaltender at playing the puck behind the net, passing the puck. He had a stretch pass to Jared McCann tonight that set him up for a potential breakaway. Of course, the goal that I still think is the best goal of the Penguins season so far is the Teddy Blueger shorthanded 5-on-3 goal that was assisted by a goaltender, Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry also scored a goal in the AHL. He's very good at stick handling, with the goalie paddle. He wasn't on this play. Puck rolled around the boards, Jarry turned it over. And yes, goalies can turn over the puck. And, the Flyers take control of it, and Jarry's scrambling, and the puck's in the back of the net. The Flyers are within 1. Thankfully, though, the Penguins, they respond. They respond in this game. And it's just, I don't know what happened between last game and this game. Obviously, there were a lot of lineup changes, but this team physically looks different and figuratively looks different. Physically looks different. We have like 3 new players playing, and figuratively, they played a hell of a lot better tonight. They respond immediately with a 4-on-2 with your third pairing defenseman jumping up on the play and Cody Ceci scoring from in front of the net. Keep in mind, Cody Ceci is a defenseman who had 1 goal last year with the Maple Leafs. He pinched up and he scored. It was a great passing play. Mark Friedman also got his first assist on that. I was sitting down when I was watching this and unless it's playoffs, I really don't go crazy over goals. But I freaked out when I saw this goal. I was like, oh my goodness, what a play! Because it was amazing. And the Penguins, they take a 2-goal lead in this one, and they eventually close things out. Mike Matheson gets an empty netter, so that's why it's 5-2 in this one. And this was just a strong victory by the Penguins. Now, the Penguins are an MLB team for this week, and they play the Flyers 3 times as if it's a baseball series. First time in franchise history that's ever happened, I think, for both sides. And it'll be interesting to see what tenacity boosts in this series. There wasn't a lot of, nitty-gritty stuff, despite it being Penguins-Flyers in this game. But just give it time, though. We got 3-game series here all this week with Philly. And, I'm excited for it, especially if the Penguins play like they did tonight, and especially if they get Crosby back as well. My 3 stars of the night, it cannot be overlooked, the fans' impact to this game. And I know the fans aren't a player, but sometimes I like to throw a little ha-ha pick into my 3 stars. And my first star is the fans. The impact that the Penguins fans had at home tonight cannot be overlooked. It was, the Penguins are great on home ice. 8 wins now on home ice. It's definitely an impact on it. Kasperi Kapanen, 2 goals, also gets a 2nd star. And then Tristan Jarry, thought he played good tonight despite that one play on the second Joel Farabee goal. Now, I say all of this, but I don't think the Penguins are deep enough still. The second power play unit tonight consisted of Josh Currie, who has 9 NHL career games, Anthony Angello, who has 11, and Jared McCann, and then Matheson and Marino. The Penguins will inevitably, if they continue to play good and if they are going to make the playoffs, which again, I think the Penguins will make the playoffs, even though I don't know if it's in the best interest. The Penguins are going to make a trade at the trade deadline. It's given. We don't have Jim Rutherford as general manager anymore, so there isn't going to be huge trades. But I put on some players here that could potentially add depth to the Penguins lineup. Now, my PFR question for you tonight is which one? Most of these players here have been in trade rumors or are on teams that will be selling at the trade deadline, except for maybe Corey Perry. Corey Perry, I threw his name on here because, he's old, he's on a cheap contract, and he's not really playing much with the Habs right now, and they're doing very well, without him in the lineup. I wondered if he could potentially be a fit on the bottom 6 for the Penguins. Maybe you even play him with Sid for a game to see what happens. But Perry does not have it anymore. Kyle Palmieri, that's probably been the name that has been requested the most out of Penguins fans that I see. Palmieri would be an interdivision trade with the Devils. The Devils obviously not a contender, and they will be selling. He is a pending UFA, but he has over $4 million cap hit. I don't think that would necessarily work for the Penguins, not only from a cap perspective, but also from a what are you going to give up perspective, because the Penguins literally have nothing that they can give up in trades outside of Samuel Poulin and Nathan Legare, which I do not want them to touch in trades. Also, along those same type of lines, Max Domi, who just today is 26. Happy birthday, Max Domi. He only has 7 points this year. He's really struggling with Columbus. McCann for Max Domi makes too much sense that I don't want it to happen. I don't want either of them to be traded. I'm a big fan of both of those players, but I would love Max Domi on the Penguins. He has so much potential. Sam Bennett out of Colorado also would probably be a little bit too much for the Penguins in terms of a price. I've heard that the Calgary Flames want a lot from Sam Bennett. They want a first rounder for this guy. Don't see any team giving you that. Not even if it's just not the Penguins. He's also on a $2.55 million cap hit. I don't see the Penguins going after him, but he could potentially fit maybe as a third line center. He's one of those players that just never lived up to expectations. He was a first round draft pick by the Flames. Eric Holla. This is one that I'm okay. He's at $1.75 million in Nashville right now. Nashville is just sucking right now. And apparently no one is off limits except for Yossi and Rene in Nashville right now. And, I think that would be cheap. Holla would not, cost a lot for the Penguins to get. I think he could fit in well in the bottom 6. Holla for Sceviour, 1-for-1. I would do it. I mean, I don't think the Predators would, but still. And then my last name, Jake Virtanen. Very young player. A lot of potential still left in him. He's only 25. I think he was a high draft pick as well for the Canucks. And the Canucks, man, they suck this year. He only has 1 point this year in 20 games. Hasn't been playing well or just a lot. But that's probably the first trade that the Canucks will make. Again, I'm not saying any of these will happen. I'm just saying these could potentially be some guys that you could fill the bottom 6 with, or maybe even the top 6 with. I still think Kasperi Kapanen is a perfect third line player, despite what he did tonight and everything. I would love him on our third line with Jared McCann and Brandon Tanev. Beautiful third line. But who are you going to put on the top 6? Maybe one of these players. Comment down below which players you think should make their way to Pittsburgh. Trade deadline's approaching. About a month now. Penguins win this one, 5-2. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate the support as always. And subscribe, will you? Absolutely free to do so. Tell your friends. Penguins Fan Reactions does these quirky little videos after each and every Penguins game. He doesn't yell as much as Steve Dangle, but, he tries his best. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next PFR.